Republicans say there is no hope for funding approval this year, but Europe may be gearing up for an invitation. The Ukrainian president has spent the 94th week of Russia's war rallying support on both sides of the Atlantic as troops continue to defend against persistent Russian attacks in Ukraine's east and south. Although battle lines have barely moved for weeks, Russia is trying to take the initiative after a summer Ukrainian counteroffensive put it on defensive. Zelensky's mission was ensure Ukraine gets the money and weapons it needs to continue the war next year. But his trip Washington, D.C. on Tuesday failed convince them at a meeting with congressional Republicans release $61.4 billion in military and financial aid. Since he couldn't do it, it remained inconclusive. Meanwhile, the U.S. Senate voted 51-49 against the $110.5 billion bill put forward by Democrats. Even if it passes Senate, the Ukraine measure, where Republicans also hold a majority and hold Ukrainian funds hostage to a domestic agenda, including abortion restrictions, would still need to be approved by House. With Zelenskyy, make no mistake, today's vote will be remembered for a long time. Earlier, while standing next to Zelenskyy, Biden told congressional Republicans what was at stake other than border security and abortion. Ukraine will emerge from this war proud, free and firmly loyal to the West. Unless we walk away, of course. Gun demand. It also requested terminal high-altitude area defense air defense systems to supplement Ukraine's existing umbrella of medium and low-range systems as part of an effort to persuade Republicans to help Ukraine. U.S. intelligence community released a report revealing how much country has accomplished with $111 billion in aid United States has already provided. The report said Ukraine destroyed 90% the forces that invaded it in February last year, costing Russia 315,000 dead and wounded soldiers and original force 360,000, destroying 2,200 out 3,500 tanks and 4,413,600 infantry fighting vehicles, armored personnel carriers. Russia continues to suffer great losses in the city of Avdiivka, which it has been trying to capture intensively since the beginning of October. U.S. National Security Council spokeswoman Adrienne Watson reportedly said Russian forces had suffered more than 13,000 casualties there in 9 weeks. Ukraine's estimates are higher. Ukrainian Ground Forces commander Oleksandr Syrskyi said that in November alone, Ukrainian forces destroyed 11,000 Russian soldiers and 130 tanks in the east. He said Russian forces were sending troops en masse to regain the initiative in the east. The loss of Russian casualties in the east is approximately 8 times greater than the loss of Ukrainian defense forces. Despite this, the Russian invaders rely on human resources. He said, Zelenskyy did not return home completely empty-handed from his visit abroad. The US Pentagon announced $200 million in new weapons, including air-to